Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com, and this is a product showcase of the Insta360 Ace Pro. Now this right here is the Ace Pro, and it was co-engineered with Leica. Now Insta360 put out two different versions of this. This one, the one that I used when I went on safari, is the one with the larger sensor, which we'll talk about in just a minute. And they also have one that's a little less expensive with a slightly smaller sensor. So what did I shoot? Well, I was on a safari for 12 days in Kenya, and I used this thing to vlog. I used it to suction cup to the front of a Land Cruiser as we went over all the different obstacles, off-road, on-road, through water, as well as passing a bunch of different animals. And I also threw it on to the hot shoe so you could get my first-person perspective when I was taking photos. But also, it's not the only Insta360 product that I took with me. I took these two bad boys over here. This is the Insta360 1RS 1-inch 360 camera, and this is the Insta360 Go 3. So I was able to cover every angle with these Insta360 products. Now let's talk about the outside of the Insta360 Ace Pro. You have a built-in flip screen that is a touch screen, and it's really simple to charge this up on the go because you have a USB-C plug right on the side. You flip this door out of the way, you pop it open, you can charge it, and this is also where the micro SD card slot is. Now on the inside, that's where the things matter. You know, like I'm a real boy on the inside. You have a 1/1.3-inch sensor inside of the Ace Pro, which is larger than what you find in the GoPro Hero 12. And a larger sensor means you gather more light. More light equals better dynamic range, which also leads to better quality footage. Speaking of footage, you can record in 4K 30, 60, and 120. Now, I personally shot a lot of it at 4K 60, and I did test out the 120 because it's kind of cool to see what you can get when you break it down to get that slow motion footage. Now, I will say that the 2.4-inch touchscreen did come in handy because it can flip out. It's great for when I was vlogging, and it's also great that if I needed to put it outside of the vehicle, flip the screen back and still be able to see and frame exactly what I want. So that is something that came in handy. Now, a feature that I never even thought about was clarity zoom. The way that this works is you double tap on the back of the screen and it gives you a 2x zoom in on whatever you are shooting. Now, I was a little concerned about this at first because normally when you go into a 2x zoom on anything that's digital, it's like, looks bad. And then when I got this footage back into the computer, Steven showed me the difference between the 2x built into the camera and when he just zoomed in 2 times on a regular 4K 60 frame. It actually looks better when you double tap on the back of the screen and bang in 2x. So whatever Insta360 is doing inside of the camera, it made it work, and it's really good when I was using one of the longer lenses and wanted to zoom in on the subject. Here's a feature that I didn't know I needed until I used it in this camera, which is pause recording. Because there's a lot of times where I take a clip and then I hit stop and it goes beep, 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 and then it saves everything. But sometimes I'm just changing different angles. It's kind of like I'm editing in camera because all I need to do is simply pause the recording on the back of the screen. And when I get everything composed and ready to go again, I can hit the button to start recording again. And when I'm done and I stop recording it, it's just one clip. It's not broken into 73 different clips. And they even have a feature where you can go back into the camera, find a clip that you've already done, hit the red record button, and you can add on to that clip again. So you just have one seamless clip, which should help you when you are editing on the fly. Now, battery life is always a concern for me in an action camera, and I only had one battery for using this in Kenya. I was hoping to have extra because my plan was, well, when one went down, I would swap it out and put the other one in and I'd be good to go. Now, that really wasn't necessary by the end of the trip. I never fully ran out of juice except for when I was testing to see how long I could get a continuous recording done until it crapped out. Now, they say you can get 100 minutes when you're shooting 4K 30 with active HDR. Now, I shot in 4K 60 without the active HDR on, and I got over 70 minutes of one continuous clip when I was filming before the battery was blinking and said, hey, your battery is about about to die. So 70 some minutes with the 4K 60, because you're squeezing out 30 extra frames per second there, that's a lot more data. But I'm happy with the 70 some minutes of record time that I got continuously. Now here's something that I did. When I was shooting something and I was using this camera for a while, I know that it's using the battery, right? It's at a quarter, it's at a half, but when we decided to drive off somewhere else and I had some time, I popped the camera into my bag, plugged a portable USB-C charger into the side of the camera, and by the time I started using it again, it was all the way filled up, because you can get a 80% charge in 22 minutes, and if you want to get a full charge all the way from zero, it's around 46 minutes to fully charge it up. But what I was doing was just plugging it in when I wasn't using it to the USB-C, and it was always ready to go when I needed it, and it never died throughout the trip. Next, we have active HDR, and this is auto-enabled when you're shooting in 4K 30 or below. Now, being that I shot in 4K 60, it was not enabled. And the funny thing was, there's a few times I looked over at the camera and I was like, do I have HDR mode on? And the reason I said that is because the blue skies and the clouds looked tremendous and the grass looked awesome, and I'm sitting inside a vehicle that's covered and everything looked like it was exposed properly, which made me think that the HDR mode was on, and I checked my settings, and when I was shooting, it wasn't. It's just that the quality of the footage was exposed that well straight out of camera. Now, the Ace Pro has a video mode for when you're shooting in lower light situations called Pure Video. Now, the camera has a denoising AI chip in there that's gonna help enhance your quality as well as your dynamic range when you're in those low light situations. Now, it's better that you have that because it does do a very good job versus the cameras that do not offer it. Now, here's a feature I love in all of the Insta360 products, especially in the Ace Pro, and that's flow state with horizon lock. You know, when I threw this on the front of the Land Cruiser, I had no idea how stable the footage would be. And that was a perfect test because we're going over bumps, we're going over rocks, we're going through water, we're getting stuck in the mud, and it was stable. It was super stable, and it's great for stabilization. And even when I was vlogging and walking with the camera, it was almost like I was on a gimbal. That's how steady it was. So it's one thing for me to talk about all these features, but it's another thing to just let you see it in action. So here's a montage from the Insta360 Ace Pro.
Guys, this is what we're flying on today. Air Kenya. I gotta go shoot some lions. They're coming this way. Yipe stripes, fruit stripes come.
No front teeth.
Right now we're cheetah stalking. We've been sitting on a cheetah with a bunch of cubs for the last hour and a half. We're waiting for her to go hunt.
Hold it.
Now, Insta360 offers you a ton of different accessories. One that I used quite often on the trip was this multi-mount tool. You can open it up and attach it to the top. You even have the ability to have it stand up and use it. And the accessory that I used the most was the quick release plate. You just use the magnets, you attach it, and then you make sure that you lock it in and it's nice and still and it's not gonna go anywhere. But also, when you take it off, which I'm taking it off, spinny, 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 on the bottom here, you have these fingers. So this is how you can attach it to all of the accessories. This is built in, and you have a 1/4-20, which definitely came in handy when I wanted to get some footage of a lion getting really close to the car. Yeah, I just attached my monopod to this because it has a 1/4-20, put it down low outside of the vehicle, and then got scared when that lion walked by.
Don't attack my hand.
Now, this camera does have an AI assistant built in for picking the highlights. Now, when you connect to the app, you have an AI highlight assistant option. Now, what that is doing is selecting what the camera thinks is the highlights from the clip that you shot, and it gives you a highlight reel. So let's put this to the test and see how it does on a few of my clips. Speaking of using the app, did you know that you can do background downloading of your footage and you don't lose the ability to still use your phone? With the DJI and the GoPro app, you lose the ability to still use your phone while you're downloading clips. So now let's talk about the price. It's $449 and it's packed with a ton of features, and you saw it in action in this video. So who's it for? I mean, it's for someone who may want to be traveling and do vlogging or do action, anything you want to do with an action cam. You know by now what you want to do with an action cam, and when you have something that has the battery life of this with the quality that you see coming out of it, you have to decide, is this the right tool for you? If you think that is for you, there is a link down below which you could pick one up right there. But I thank you guys very much for going on this journey with me to Kenya, at least through the eyes of the Insta360 Ace Pro. And thank you guys very much for watching. Jared, Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. See ya.